Jackson County, Florida. It's a place that's at the Florida-Alabama line. Most definitely a small town feel. I refer to it as Floribama.
We've had our share of horrific murders here. I received a phone call from a young lady named Rosa. She said that her dad was missing.
The worst feeling is having someone you love and talk to every day go missing, and it's just like pure agony.
The car had been, I'll say, ransacked. I knew then that something's not right. We've got a missing person. It's probably more than a missing person.
They're going to send yourself to prison.
But how would I go there if I didn't know?
Because you do know. You know what the body is right where it's at.
Quietly situated on the northwest border of Alabama, an hour west of Tallahassee, is Jackson County, Florida.
Jackson County is a very rural area. There's a lot of farmland here. It is very country. Either related to everybody here or you know everybody here.
Jackson County, Florida. It's a place that's at the Florida-Alabama line. Most definitely a small town feel. I refer to it as Floribama.
We're kind of known as the redneck Riviera in some way. We kind of share the same culture as those in southern Alabama. It's basically like there wasn't a state line there.
If someone's passing through that has committed a crime or wanted to commit a crime, they live in Jackson County because there's a lot of farmland to hide on and so forth. We've had our share of horrific murders here. One day in July, I received a phone call from a young lady named Rosa. Rosa was very distraught. She said that her dad was missing. I started asking her, when's the last time you talked to him? What was the conversation like?
The last time I talked to my dad was July 2nd. I had FaceTime my dad. He was at the beach, and I didn't hear from my dad for about a week after that, which was unusual. Like any daddy's girl, it doesn't matter how much work he had or what he was doing, he made sure to call me daily. I started calling my dad, and dad was... I began to get really worried and stressed.
I had gone more than 2 or 3 days without talking to him, so personally I wasn't too worried, but it wasn't until my sister started becoming worried a few days after he stopped showing up or stopped contacting people that I started to get worried too, because I know that my sister's not worried for no reason.
When my parents divorced in October of 2004, my father came to Florida to work for a construction company. The money is what provided for, me and my brothers and his family in Mexico as well. But unfortunately, he was let go from that job. So he was rooming with friends. And, one friend had a property in Alabama and then one had one in Florida. And so he bounced back between both of those in order to get a job. I didn't have a permanent address for him. So before I had called the Jackson County Sheriff's Office, me and my dad's sisters and my mom divided all his friends and called each friend to see when the last time they talked to him was. I just needed to find him. Shane was my dad's Facebook friend. He was one of the first people that I contacted because I knew my dad was renting a room from him at some point. And so I messaged him and I asked him, hey, have you heard from my dad? Do you know where he is? When Shane responded to me on Facebook, he had said that he doesn't know where my dad is. He's into things that I'm not into anymore. I didn't understand why he would say something like that. Why do you feel the need to add that detail in there?
When you have a missing person, especially an adult missing person, you have to consider the fact that they just might not want to be found. They might have just went off the radar. Raul and Rosa had a very good relationship. One thing that stands out is she was getting ready to graduate college, and she told me, she's like, there's no way my dad would miss this. Obviously, this was something we needed to act on pretty quick. Raul was kind of jumping between Alabama and Florida. And because he moved around a lot, it made it a little bit more difficult to look for him, because at this point, I had no idea where he was last seen at. Rosa told me that her father had a Mercedes that he really loved. So I started by looking for his car. Rosa told me that her dad had had a conversation with an individual named Dustin Scroggins, and that this individual was going to fix the car for him. So the next day, I started looking for Dustin Scroggins. We have a law enforcement database. You can see where people are at, and it led me to a residence of Graceville, Florida. I was able to call the homeowner. It was a young female. That young female advised me that Dustin did not live there, but she was friends with Dustin. And during one, Dustin, he had come to her and said, "Hey, look, I need to work on the car. You have a carport. It's covered. Can I use your carport?" And she let him use it. She sent me pictures of the car, and it was, in fact, Roll's car.
But this isn't the break Investigator Edwards was hoping for.
She told me that one day, an unknown white male had showed up at her house while Dustin was there inquiring about what was taking so long for the car to be fixed. Dustin was not able to fix the car in a timely manner, so the unknown white male had the car towed to a different small town mechanic across the state line in Houston County, Alabama. She assisted with giving me directions on how to get to this mechanic, but I have no jurisdiction in Alabama, so I contacted one of the investigators in Houston County for assistance.
When Investigator Edwards contacted me here at the Houston County Sheriff's Office, she had done her investigation, spoke to some people, found the car here in our county, and she communicated with me and said, "Hey, I think that Raul Gillian is missing." The working relationship with Jackson County is great. Because we're adjacent counties, the Florida-Alabama line, we work a lot together. Investigator Edwards and I, we worked on several other cases before.
We work very well with Alabama. It's always a team effort. We agreed to meet, so I immediately drove over the state line, which was 20-30 minutes, and you're in Alabama.
Investigator Edwards told me that Rosa had said that, my daddy loved his car. He would not let his car go anywhere. So we wound up going to a mechanic shop, and we found out that Raul's car was there. But the car had been, I'll say ransacked.
You could tell it was already being repainted. The guts of it were already taken out or in the process of being taken out.
And the tag was missing. I said, that is very strange. And in my professional opinion, that is most definitely what we call reasonable suspicion in law enforcement, that they are trying to cover something up. Something's not right. And we felt that some foul play had happened.
He kept saying that Raul was part of an MS-13 gang, that people were looking for him.
Lauren was an ex-porn star. Why would my dad be friends with her?
All of a sudden, there is a area that is 4 foot wide, 6 foot long, and the dirt has been turned up. He said this is the spot, and it looked like somebody had been digging there.
Detectives searching for Raul Gillian in rural Jackson County, Florida, have tracked his car to a mechanic shop across the state line in Alabama.
To be repainted.
The ignition had been broken, and it looks like somebody's hot-wired this, or they tried to break into this console, but they didn't have the keys to the car. I knew then that something's not right. We've got a missing person. It's probably more than a missing person. We've got somebody that's in danger, that's either been kidnapped, held against their will, or they have been murdered.
We then went over the car with a fine-tooth comb, looking for evidence, trying to do things like obtain latent prints and DNA. We weren't able to get anything.
Where's the person the car belongs to? We need to find that out. We brought the owner of the shop down here to the Houston County Sheriff's Office.
You know why you're here to talk? Tell me why you think. Just shoot me straight. We're gonna look out for you. Okay? We're gonna look out for you.
I heard something.
Tell me what you heard. Once we got him down here and started talking, he didn't want to really tell us what was going on.
I know that you had the car at your place.
A lot of times they don't want to talk to you because they're afraid something's going to happen to them.
I don't want to know this.
So it took a little while to get him to come through, but the shop owner wanted to show a receipt for the work to be done on the car.
And I noticed the name on there was Lauren Wombles.
So that's how the car got to the shop. This woman had the car taken to that mechanic shop.
I did not know what her involvement was with Raul, and so I contacted Rosa.
I didn't know this person, so I was like, wait, what? Like, I was so confused. So I went to Lauren's Facebook profile. Lauren was friends on Facebook with my dad. And so I started looking through her stories on Facebook. Lauren was an ex-porn star. Why would my dad be friends with her?
We wanted to know why she had Raul Gillian's car. How did she become in possession of Raul Gillian's car, and why is there a receipt with her name on it that was taken to that mechanic shop?
A check of local records reveals that Lauren lives in Houston County, not far from the mechanic shop.
So we proceeded to call in Lauren Wombles. We questioned her about Raul's car. Well, why is your name on the receipt for it being towed to this place in Alabama?
Then she started telling us that her boyfriend had purchased this car for her.
I found that very hard to believe. Possession, that's just not something he would do.
Lauren Wombles tells us that her boyfriend was Shane Parker.
Shane is the same friend who Rosa reached out to when Raul first vanished, and who told her he hadn't seen her father recently. But the name jumps out to detectives for another reason.
We had some history with him here at Houston County Sheriff's Office. Previously, he was in jail. I knew that he was violent. It was a red flag for me. We had been to his house on several occasions, heard his name on several occasions.
Lauren was asked about the condition of the car, and she told me that Shane was making it bulletproof and that he was painting it because that was her dream car. Shane had decided to give her dream car, and that was why she had the car. I felt like Lauren knew more than what she was telling, but we didn't have anything to charge her with, so we pretty much we let her go. At this point, I started bringing Shane in to talk to him, and it was one of those things. I played it really like, man, I just need your help. I didn't make him feel like he was a suspect in any way. Then he proceeded to tell me he'd met Raul in jail just a few months ago.
My dad was driving with an expired registration. He got stopped by a cop, so he was arrested for that, and that's why he was in jail.
Shane befriended him. Raul was down on his luck, was new to the area, didn't know anything, wanted to make some money, needed a job. Shane tried to help him out.
Shane tells the investigator he tried to help Raul, but eventually Raul became involved with dangerous people, so he and Raul parted ways.
He kept saying that Raul was part of an MS-13 gang. He just really played Raul as this vindictive outlaw drug runner, and that he could have went undercover, and that people were looking for him. Something was amiss.
Several weeks have passed since Raul Guillen vanished from Jackson County, Florida. Shane Parker, a friend of Raul's who police suspect has criminal connections, tells the investigators Raul may be mixed up with a violent gang.
I asked him, when's the last time you seen Raul? And he told me it was around 4th of July. And that they had been shooting off fireworks. And that was the last time he saw him. And he was telling me that he felt like Raul was missing because of his association with MS-13. We have biker gangs here. I've never dealt with anybody with MS-13. If they're here, they're very silent. It's not something we deal with. I did not feel like Shane was telling the truth at all. Detective Herring and I were getting to the point where we believed that Shane Parker was directly responsible for all being missing. He was a suspect, but we had circumstantial evidence, which is not nothing we could really take before a court. After our conversation ended with Shane, I contacted Rosa. I asked her to verify the information that Shane had given me about the MS-13. She did not know where that came from. She had told me, look, my dad's had his troubles. He's been down on his luck, but he's never done something like this. And I believed her. I mean, there was nothing else to lead me to believe that he was involved in anything illegal at this time.
We talked about my dad, and I was crying. And I said, Cherie, I really want to find him. The worst feeling is having someone you love and talk to every day go missing. And it's just pure agony.
We spent a lot of time talking on the telephone. Started developing into a friendship because I have a daughter her age.
With no solid leads about where Raul might be, the investigation seems stuck. Detectives go back to square one, looking for anything they might have missed. A police report filed shortly after Raul went missing catches their eye.
There was actually a trailer that had burned here in Houston County, Alabama, on July the 16th of 2020. And we'd also had some reports that what we call squatters, people just going in and staying somewhere that doesn't pay rent. Raul's name had come up as being one of those squatters staying at that trailer. Investigator Edwards and I went out to the property. And then we started looking around to see if we found any bones and looking for possibly a burnt body, thinking that might be where Raul is. Because it was burnt completely to the ground.
Even though it's now been 3 weeks since the fire, detectives are hopeful some clues might be left behind.
We went over the trailer with a fine-tooth comb looking for evidence.
And it turned up that Raul was not there.
At this point, because we had still not heard anything from Raul, things were starting to look a little bleak, and we were beginning to think that if we did find Raul, he was probably not going to be alive.
Weeks pass with no developments in the case. Then,
it was early Monday morning. I'm at home with my family, and the phone rings. And it is someone, what I consider a reliable informant, that says, hey, I have some information for you in the disappearance of Raul. Someone knows where Raul is. He wants to meet with you, but he wants to remain anonymous. I told her to tell him that he's going to be okay, that we got to do what's right. Come see me, and let's talk. And me growing up in this county, I've got a lot of people that trust me. This person came to me because he knew that I was a man of my word. He knew that he could trust a law enforcement officer, and this law enforcement officer would look out for his best interest, but he also wanted to do what was right. On a Monday morning, we met here, and he sat right here in this office. He was scared. He was afraid. And I told him, I says, I'm going to tell you. I said, I don't know if you have any children or not, but I do. I said, he's got a daughter. She wants to know what happened to her daddy. I want you to tell me the truth about what happened. Don't give me the runaround. We need to do what's right because this girl deserves to know she needs closure. He looked at me and he said, you're right, sir. He says, I'm scared. I wasn't there when it happened. I can just tell you what happened.
I know everything because my best friend is the one who told me everything. Jeremy Odell Peters.
Jeremy Peters. We were familiar with him here in Houston County. They were familiar with him in Jackson County. The feds were familiar with him. Jeremy Peters has been involved in the drug world. And what I mean in the drug world, he was known to sell large amounts of drugs. I knew that he was very violent. The informant told me that Raul was killed at Jeremy Peters' house.
I came out to his house the same morning that I guess they had gotten rid of the body. And when I pulled up, I thought he was joking about it. And he said, man, I just got back from having a burial body.
As the interrogation continues, the informant claims Jeremy Peters did not act alone. He tells the investigator Peters was part of a plot, and a lawman recognizes the names of the other people who were allegedly involved.
They said that he was in Shipley, and I don't know exactly what he was doing, but when he got back to the house, Shane and his girlfriend Lauren had gotten Raul out back behind his house, and Shane shot back of the head.
You remember about when he told you this?
It was around 4th of July. And today, he showed me where the body is.
It's a chilling story. Now, police must determine if it's true.
I asked the informant, and he told me yes.
You know where the body is?
That's right where it's at. It's in Florida. It's right past the Florida and Alabama line. Really, the very first dirt road to your left. I think it's Holmes County.
Investigators have located missing Florida man Raul Guillen's car across the state line in Alabama. But an informant claims Raul was murdered and buried back in Florida.
Contacted Holmes County Sheriff's Office and advised them of basically the entire investigation to this point.
My chief deputy received the call. Some information had come up, basically, that this person that they were looking for had possibly been murdered in Holmes County and buried in Holmes County. Just probably about a mile inside Holmes County from the Alabama line. We're a small rural community. We very seldom have any homicides. Maybe one a year, if that. It's very, very rare.
Jackson County, Florida investigator Sherry Edwards and Houston County, Alabama Sergeant Ricky Herring team up with the Holmes County Sheriff. They head out to examine Raul's alleged burial site.
Wound up raining that afternoon, but we met Sheriff Tate at a church there in Holmes County, Florida. Sheriff Tate wound up getting in a truck with me and the informant. And when I say it rained, it was a hard, heavy rain coming down that day.
If you're a true Floridian, you know the weather will change in a matter of minutes. It could be anywhere from sun shining to rainstorms.
It's in the middle of hurricane season, so it's a torrential downpour. We went off a little pig trail off a dirt road. You can tell that no traffic goes down this little pig trail or anything. So we're going down, slipping and sliding. Finally, after a little while longer, I said to the informant, "Do you know where it is?" And he says, "Man, I'm telling you, give me a minute. It's just raining. Give me a minute. Let me get my bearings where I need to be." All of a sudden, there is a area that is maybe 4 foot wide, 6 foot long, and the dirt has been turned up. He said, "This is the spot." And it looked like somebody had been digging there.
We had made plans to go out there to dig up the body so we could verify if this was in fact true. However, due to the downpour that we had, it just was not feasible for us to get out there and try to do any type of work whatsoever. This is very frustrating. We are so close to being able to dig at this location, but the rain hinders the process because if you have a footprint, it will obviously wash it away. You can't tell where it's going. If we were to dig in the rain, any evidence with the rain coming down would have been was made just to follow up the next day when we had a brighter, clearer day.
With the storm clouds gone the following morning, the investigation of the site can finally begin.
Cadaver dogs came, they hit on the location.
Officers began with hand trowels, small shovels, removing dirt piece by piece.
Myself and another investigator actually were helping to manually dig. When you get to a certain point, we could start to smell the decomposed body. Your body will, after so many days, will start falling apart. Your flesh will start coming apart. You will start bloating. Gases in your body and so forth will start expanding. It was pretty rancid.
Once they dug down deep enough, they found a barrel that was cut in half that was laid over the body.
Once that was removed, we saw a garbage bag. And it had been wrapped with rope. You could see a foot sticking up. When we got down to the actual body bag, we were able to lift him up using like a somewhat of a crane. Bloody liquid and fluids from his body started leaking out. When we opened the bag to determine if that was Raul, he still had his skin on him, but he was very seriously decomposed due to the weather because it was very hot. But by the grace of the good Lord, I was able to identify him by the necklace that he had on that I had previously had confirmed with Rosa. When we identified that that was Raul, I I remember looking at the investigator that worked with me, and I said, I do not want to make this phone call. This is going to be the hardest phone call I ever have to make. I remember calling Rosa and telling her, I found your father.
I started crying a lot, and I couldn't stop crying. He was found, so I was happy about that, because a lot of people don't get to find their family members. But I was like, oh my God, I fell to my knees. And I just felt dead inside.
I heard it from my sister first. I couldn't believe that he was murdered. I'm the type of person to worry for the worst, but this death definitely took me by the blind side. My dad was gone.
With Raul Guillen's body found, detectives dial up their investigation. They've yet to determine the motive behind his killing, and they need hard evidence to prove the suspects named by the informant are indeed the killers.
Well, a lot of times when we're looking for time to the actual crime is very important. But because the crime had occurred on July 4th, and it wasn't until mid-August that Raul Guillen's body was found, all of that evidence was gone. There was no DNA, there wasn't any fingerprints to process or find. So we obtained search warrants to search Jeremy Peters' property because the tipster had said that's where the murder had occurred.
We executed the search warrant at his house, not too far from the burial site.
He was not home at the time. We still continued the search. We searched the entire house. We searched the entire property.
The tipster had said that murder had occurred outside by Mr. Peters' air conditioning unit. Any blood or any evidence from there would have been washed away through the rain, the heat of Florida.
But elsewhere on Peters' property, police make a major discovery.
Adjacent to Peters' truck was an open shed. In that shed were barrels, just like the ones that Raul was found in.
A search of suspect Jeremy Peters' home has turned up evidence tied to the murder of Raul Guillen. Plastic barrels similar to those found with Raul's buried body.
There was also a lot of FSU paraphernalia, Florida State University paraphernalia, in Jeremy Peters' home. One of the things that Raul Guillen was wrapped in was a Florida State University blanket.
So we obtained an arrest warrant on him. The U.S. Marshals took Peters into custody at his attorney's office.
With Peters in custody, detectives set their sights on two other suspects named by the informant, Shane Parker and his girlfriend, Lauren Wombles.
Shane had a misdemeanor warrant. What we did is we wound up making a traffic stop on Shane when he left the house, and we saw Lauren in the car with him. Once we made that traffic stop on Shane, that is whenever we got Lauren back up here to the office and talked with her. Shane went to jail. We didn't feel like Lauren was going to talk around Shane, and we had more of a chance of getting Lauren to open up and talk with us.
We know for a fact that you were there. We know for a fact you know what happened.
She told us she was pregnant with Shane's baby. She's already having problems getting custody of her other child. So we just turned the heat up. So we honed in on her children, especially her unborn child. And how if Shane cared about her like he said he did, he wouldn't have put her in that position.
Yeah. We're not. But if you don't help yourself, you're going to send yourself to jail. You're not going to send yourself to jail. You're going to send yourself to prison.
But how would I go there if I didn't know?
Because you do know.
At that point, I kick into what I call another gear. Lauren Wombles was telling one story during that time, but I also know the game and how things work. Some people, a lot of times they don't want to talk to you because they're afraid something's going to happen to them. So I said, you know what, you're going to jail, I just don't like you, and sometimes it takes that.
Hey, I just want you to know that you got a warrant out of Holmes County, Florida for accessory to murder. So that's what you'll be going to jail for.
Once Lauren realizes Sergeant Herring has her cornered, she quickly changes her tune.
broke and she saw Shane for what he was, and she confessed to her involvement in the murder of Raul Gillian.
We were at JP's house.
Who's we?
Me, Shane, and Raul.
What happened to Raul?
He got shot in the back of the head.
Who shot him?
Shane.
Shane?
And then he made me, like, tie a string around his leg, take off his shoe and tie a string around his leg so he could pull him.
Okay. And did he tell you why?
I don't know why he did it, like, for real. I think he's just crazy.
We still wanted to know why she had Raul Gillian's car.
Why did you give it to him?
Shane gave me the car, like, as a way to, like, him thinking I wouldn't say nothing about it or something. I don't know. I don't even know if he wanted it to be my car. I thought he was going to trick me and, you know what I mean? I thought he was just saying that, and he was just going to get rid of it or keep it for himself, because that's the kind of person he is anyway. But I think he told me to put my name on the receipt thing, so.
Well, that's what you did.
Yeah.
Lauren Wombles told us where the gun was thrown at by Shane Parker and what drainage ditch it was thrown in.
As Lauren is carted off to jail, officers rush to the location in Houston County, Alabama, to see if the murder weapon is actually there.
The handle of the gun was found. It was a handle to a revolver. Now, the cylinder, the handle was found in a storm drain right where Lauren Womble said that Parker threw it.
Detectives now have all they need to charge Shane Parker with murder.
We found Raul. We dug him up today.
Dug him up today?
Yeah, and this is where I really need you to get straight, man. We talked to Lauren.
That's my main mom.
Yeah, she told us a lot. And we got that gun. So I need you to be 100% honest about this right now. Because you know where Raul is. We know all about it. Okay?
Oh, goodness.
During the course of the interview, investigators were able to confront him with the fact that, well, your girlfriend, the mother of your child, has told us she was there, she did these things, and said you did these things. And so they were able to confront him with that and say she wouldn't make herself guilty of a crime unless you were also guilty of a crime.
Yeah, well, sure did, but I didn't kill the man, though. As far as me being the one who killed him, I didn't kill that man. I didn't kill him.
Well, I think you keep telling yourself that, but I'm sitting here with a guy to kill him.
Jeremy Peters also insists he's innocent, but hoping for leniency, Lauren Wombles tells detectives she's willing to reveal more details about the murder.
We had finally gotten the correct version of what happened to Raul. He wasn't murdered. He was slaughtered.
The murder trial of Shane Parker begins on March 21st, 2022. Over the course of the next 2 days, prosecutors were able to paint a clear picture of what happened the night Raul Gillian was killed, thanks to the testimony of Parker's girlfriend Lauren Wombles and detectives from 3 different jurisdictions in Florida and Alabama.
During the trial, I finally got the details about how my dad died.
Lauren Wombles claimed that they were at Jeremy Peters' house, 4th of July. Shane and Lauren went to pick Raul up. They told him that Jeremy had some work that he could do there at the house and earn some extra money. And then they went to go get some fireworks because it was the 4th of July.
Shane Parker has Lauren Wombles distract Raul by giving him some fireworks. Gives him a popsicle to enjoy.
The firecracker to be lit was to cover the sound of the gunshot.
10 feet away, points the gun at the back of his head and pulls the trigger. And then after that, he tells Lauren Wombles, you need to help me drag this man who's dying to the wood line. And because he was going through what's known as agonal breathing, which is essentially when the reptilian part of your brain, the most basic part of your brain, is still working, your heart is pumping, your lungs are working, but you're not there anymore. So they thought he was still alive.
And he started making, according to Lauren, what she called snoring sounds. And Shane took potting soil and poured on his face and tried to shove down his throat, and picked up a shovel and proceeded to beat him with the shovel because he wanted to finish him off.
After that, Jeremy Peters got home. The two of them then loaded Raul Guillen's body into Jeremy Peters' truck, wrapped it in tarp and blankets, and then took it to a logging area, dug a grave, and buried Raul Guillen.
Shane had convinced Jeremy that if he left the house before the murder took place, that he would only be charged with a misdemeanor if they were found out, because he was not present at the time of the incident.
Throughout the investigation, the one thing that eluded detectives was a motive for this murder. Thanks to Lauren Womble's plea deal, prosecutors were able to offer a theory to the jury.
Lauren Wombles said that Jeremy Peters thought himself the local drug kingpin in Holmes County. He had enlisted William Shane Parker as someone to run drugs for him, as well as to be his enforcer, someone that would collect debts. Jeremy Peters concocted this belief that Raul was part of a Mexican cartel. What he viewed that as is a threat to his business. So Peters essentially told William Shane Parker that he needed to kill Raul Guillen to remove this perceived threat that somehow Raul Guillen was going to attract the Mexican cartels to their area. There was absolutely no evidence that Raul Guillen was involved in any drug trafficking or illegal activity. He was simply a poor guy who did what he could to make money.
The jury deliberates for less than an hour before finding Shane Parker guilty of second-degree
killed Raul Guillen.
In a separate trial, Jeremy Peters is found guilty of accessory to murder.
Jeremy Peters is serving a 20-year sentence for his role as an accessory.
For her cooperation with law enforcement, Lauren Wombles receives a 10-year sentence for accessory to murder.
I was glad of the results. I was glad that they were able to get the convictions that they did. At this point, Rose and I were close friends, and the fact that I was able to give her some closure was the biggest thing. I had come to really care for Rosa. She was a lot like my own daughter, who loved her father. She will always be so dear to me because of that.
Every time I work a case like this, I actually get just the chill bumps all over my body just knowing that I'm able to give some families some closure.
I didn't really understand how much I did love him and how much love I did have for him until he passed. He was one of the nicest, most caring, most friendliest, sweetest individuals I've ever met. He didn't deserve what happened. Not by a long shot, not by a mile.
I think in 2020, like a lot of people lost family members to COVID, and you know, like there's cancer and other things, but when a person's murdered like that, I will never be able to think about my dad again without associating him to that murder and to how gruesome it was. It never goes away. It'll never go away. It'll never go away.